Howdy, and welcome to In the Rabbit Hole's Urban Survival Podcast. In this episode, we discuss the winds, but not the kind that come from your britches. We'll be discussing hurricanes. Let's dive in. I'm your host, Aaron, and you are in the rabbit hole, safe and sound. Before we dive in, some quick announcements. If you're new to ITRH, we're on summer break. So that means we're only doing what we call summer shorts. Now, we take off summer every year to recharge our batteries and work on survival projects. And as it turns out, iTunes turns off your subscription if you do not interact with a podcast for roughly 4 weeks. To combat this, we're putting out short episodes every 3 weeks or so as bonus episodes and a way of keeping your feed alive. We'll be back with full-length episodes this August. Next, we're fine here, and a big thank you to everyone that sent in emails and posts on the forum checking in on us. We're all high and dry. Fortunately, the only damage that happened around here was a loss of an expensive piece of audio equipment, which did kind of sting, and it's the audio interface that allows us to do our interviews. But a new one is on the way. It was a bit of a hit to the ITRH coffers, but we'll have it fixed soon. You know, things could have been a whole lot worse, so we're very thankful for that. And finally, one last very big announcement. The ITRH Armada is live, and I'd like to give a special shout out to everyone who showed up to the first Houston meetup. It was really cool to put some faces to some names and kill a few beers and get to know y'all. One of the new ITRH Armada members even shared a lead on a really amazing homesteading school here in Texas. I can't even believe I hadn't even heard of this before, and that in part shows the power that is community and the little extra things that you find out about that you don't get on forums. Sometimes you just have to get out in person to get this kind of stuff. And so we'll probably be getting a group together to go up there and take some classes and gain some old world homesteading skills at some point soon. And we also even started discussing pulling together a special Texas Armada tactical training session with some really great trainers. The whole thing sounds freaking awesome, to be perfectly honest. Now, many of you are probably wondering what the ITRH Armada is. And the answer is this. It's a special membership program I launched a couple of weeks ago. But I really wanted to make sure that this was more than just a donation box or another discount program. So I built something for y'all with benefits, including a private members-only encrypted message board, a way to build ITRH meetup and mag groups and communicate back and forth with each other about these things, access to the entire show library archive and downloadable zip files season by season, access to all the episodes in streamable format, similar to the way they are on the main site, a free copy of the ebook I put out not too long ago titled Owning Your Survival. And, because I'm nuts, I didn't stop there. Recently, members enjoyed some bonus surprises such as the ammo inventory spreadsheet template. Yes, this is the one that Jason was teasing me about in episode 123 and how anal retentive I am about things. I also hosted a 90-minute free survival kit webinar with live Q&A session for members. And we'll be doing more things like this as we get along and this whole thing matures in the near future. And it's just, I really want to continually be adding value to this program. And it's not one of those things where I just want to keep saying, hey, we got new discounts, which, hey, discounts are cool. I'm a member of the same thing a lot of y'all are, and I enjoy those discounts. But at the end of the day, I wanted this to be about so much more than that. And when you sign up, you have immediate access to a replay of that webinar with full access to everything else I just mentioned. Now, if you're thinking these meetups are only for Houston, they're not. We already have members looking to connect with other ITRH folks in places like Denver, New England, Ohio, San Antonio, and Oklahoma, just to name a few. So visit itrh.net to find out more and become part of the ITRH Roving Horde Armada today for as little as $3.33 a month. That's less than a Starbucks coffee. And you'll be keeping the show safe and sound that's been helping to keep you safe and sound for the past 4 years. Again, that's ITRH.net to get to the membership program and find out more about what we're doing over there. Now let's get into today's ITRH show, Preparing for Hurricanes. Before we get into it, we'll be finishing up the Being a Good Shepherd series, starting with the next summer short. But today I wanted to take a break from that and talk to you all about hurricanes, because it's summer once again. And that also means it's hurricane season once again. And for those of us here on the Gulf Coast, that marks a time of the year where we have to worry about some kind of crazy, disastrous type stuff. But for preppers, it kind of marks a great time to go back and review everything in our preparedness life. Now, for anyone that is not in an area prone to hurricanes, this may still be a very interesting episode, despite the focus. You can use this, as I said, alluded to a moment ago, as a time of year to back up and review your preps. So this show will largely apply to everyone. Now, to start off at the very kind of 30,000 foot view about hurricanes, there is something I want to clarify for everyone. Because this year has been declared a low activity year doesn't mean it's a low danger year. NOAA is predicting a lower than normal or below normal hurricane season. Now, NOAA is predicting a 70% likelihood of, let me get it out real quick. It's 6 to 11 named storms, including May's tropical storm Anna, 3 to 6 of which would become hurricanes, they're predicting. None to 2 major hurricanes, those of at least a category 3 or better, or worse, I should actually say. And this is below the 30-year average of 12 named storms, 6 hurricanes, and 3 major hurricanes in a given year. Now, NOAA's forecast is also fairly close to the Weather Channel's forecast, which also predicted a below average activity, but they listed it at 9 named storms, 5 hurricanes, and 1 major hurricane. Not that there's that big of a difference between those two, but they're still pretty similar. But see, I want to point out here, this is an indication of quantity, not quality. After all, we typically don't see several destructive storms or big hurricanes. We typically only get 1 destructive storm, and not always every year. So these predictions, aside from being weather predictions, and we all know how those typically turn out, just mean less activity. It does not mean less danger. So, we could only have 1 named storm show up this year, but it could be some massive named storm that is the next Alicia or Andrew or Rita or whatever. So it's just something to be aware of when you hear, oh, it's a below normal activity year. That doesn't mean it's a below normal danger year when dealing with hurricanes. As I said in the beginning, the start of hurricane season is how I personally mark a time of the year to review my preps. And to do that, we do things like going over our stores and looking for, is anything expired? Has anything been used and not put back or replaced? Is everything where it should be? Do we want to add more gasoline than we normally do to our storage? And, or add additional gasoline preservatives to our stores. We also do things like reviewing our shelter. We look for tree branches that need to be trimmed back. And I mean, that really does include like a full walk around of the entire house. And we look for any damage to the home that could be made worse by high winds or even heavy rain. And then another big one is we go around and check that all electronic devices are on some sort of surge protector. And that also includes our major appliances. And that's one thing that I think a lot of people overlook, is that they don't put a surge protector on things like a refrigerator or a dryer or a washing machine, when some of those things are really expensive. I mean, I was looking at dryers recently, and you can very quickly get into the $1,000 range for a freaking dryer. I mean, you go spend that kind of money on something, it's really nothing to then think about, going and buying like a $20, $25 or even some of the crazier ones, surge protectors to protect those appliances. So you want to definitely think about things like that. We also, and going on to the kind of community aspect of survival, we also review our list of the elderly and infirmed in our immediate area. Our area is going through kind of a massive gentrification, if I can get that word out today. So there really aren't any in our neighborhood anymore, but it's really good to review this once a year and ask neighbors if they know of anyone that kind of fits that description. If there's anyone that needs help with that, and you want to make a list of their addresses and telephone numbers. And just if you've got stuff and things like that, and you're not putting yourself in immediate danger, of course, you want to go check on those people and make sure that they have food and water and that they're okay, and that they haven't, sitting there penned under, a sunken in roof or something crazy like that. A great resource for this, and just staying on top of what's going on in your area in general, is a site called nextdoor.com. It's sort of like Facebook for neighborhoods, but so much better. A fellow urban pioneer and neighbor introduced me to this site a few years back. At first, it was pretty slow, and there really wasn't much in the way of activity on it. And I honestly kind of signed up for it and then was just like, all right, whatever. It's just another version of Facebook or something, and then forgot about it for probably about a good year. However, in the last year, it's really taken off, especially with neighbors encouraging each other to become members. And unlike Facebook, most of the posts are actually not crap. And while a good number of them actually do involve pictures of kittens, it's usually, somebody with free kittens or lost pets or something like that. Plus, it's free. Actually, now that I mention it, I'm not even sure how they make money, but neither here nor there. Anyway, neighbors often post things about break-ins and suspicious characters lurking about, thefts, and other such things that you really do want to be aware of. And I've even saw, as I was talking about a second ago, I've even seen a lot of lost pets returned home because of this site. So the site definitely is worth checking out and signing up for, or if your neighborhood's not already on there, signing your neighborhood up for on there and promoting it with your other neighbors. I really have watched it become an exceptionally useful tool for being aware of your community, your immediate community, your neighborhood, of course, and connecting with other people in your neighborhood. And again, just being really aware. The address again is nextdoor.com. And of course, I will put a link to that in the show notes today. Now, if you're new to preparedness, this could be the time of year you stop consuming books, articles, and survival shows like ours to actually get some stuff done. This is as in get off the intellectual masturbation couch and really do something. And that includes getting at least a 3-week supply of food and water together. It's not really the time of year to start preparing for the zombie apocalypse. I know. It's like sacrilege around here to say. But what I mean by that is focus on shoring up the necessities and not so much worrying about the tactical. This is not to say that there isn't a place for the tactical. It is to say that we all have a tendency to over-focus on guns and kit. You're much more likely to need to bug in for a week or two needing food and water and even entertainment. And let's face it, you can only play so many hands of cards, drink so many hurricanes, or make so many hurricane babies. So don't forget about entertainment. Once you're done with that, review and shore up other things, then focus on your tactical stuff. Before we close out this episode, I want to bring up something about flooding. It's an issue with hurricanes, but it can just as easily be a summer storm issue like what we had here in Texas recently. The rest of Texas, that was actually pretty unusual. Houston, on the other hand, that was totally normal, at least for native Houstonians. A lot of what you saw in the news about people getting caught in floodwaters was mostly just ignorance. And I don't mean that to talk bad about people or to talk down to people. It's pure. It's ignorance of the area. And Houston is experiencing a tremendous amount of influx from people from all around the country. And so they're just not used to those heavy summer storms we get here, which often turn into a flood. And there are a lot of clues that a flood is coming. The big one is this. If it's raining for several days in a row, the ground becomes saturated. This is especially true if you're if you're in a clay-rich area like Houston, but it isn't exclusive to us. There are also issues in large urban areas that have high density of concrete, so the water can only be removed via storm drains. Plus, storm drains and ditches have their limits. Heck, big-ass bayous like what we have here have their limits. So if you see heavy rains over an extended period of time, like a few days, and then you just see that more are on their way, be aware that probably means a flood is coming. Now, if you find yourself in a situation where it's starting to flood, here are some quick tips. If it starts to flood, don't try to keep driving. Pull into a parking lot of higher ground or even into a parking garage if you can find one. Here's why. Water can contain a tremendous amount of energy and force. In a lot of instances, a lot more than you think. It takes less than 6 inches of fast-moving water to knock an adult off their feet. It takes less than 12 inches of moving water to sweep off with a car. And you can stall out pretty easily and not very much water. These are cars, after all, not boats. Ask me how I know sometime. If you're in a city or moving to one that is flood prone, don't park in underground garages when you see it's raining for several days in a row and you're thinking, oh, it might flood here. If flooding is happening and you are parked below street level, take the stairs down to your vehicle. Never take the elevator. You may get a deadly surprise when the doors open. With that, we wrap up our ITRH Summer Short. Thank you for joining us. Support the show that's supported you for over 4 years. Visit ITRH.net to become a member of the In the Rabbit Hole Roving Horde Armada. You'll not just be helping to support the show when you become a member. Supporting Armada members get access to exclusive content, discounts, encrypted forums, and the ability to connect with like-minded people and form local groups. For as little as $3.33 a month, you can help us keep the show going. Plus, you get a whole lot more benefit. Visit ITRH.net to become part of the ITRH Armada today. You'll be keeping the show safe and sound. From the Lone Star State, till next time, stay safe and sound.